It looks like the Georgia Bulldogs picked up a lot of ground on a five-star offensive lineman after a big official visit this past weekend. I'm going to talk about that and a lot of other insider news and scoop in this video because the summer's here and it is recruiting season, and the Dogs kicked off the summer in a big way. The big scavenger hunt weekend, always a big deal. And Darius Gray was one of the biggest targets in town. He was on his official visit. He's out of state, St. Christopher's High School in Virginia. He is the #1 guard prospect, the number 23 overall prospect in the country. He had a lot to say about his Georgia visit, but of course, Georgia fans are still a little, triggered or upset about Jackson Cantwell choosing Miami last week. But I think Georgia took a big step forward with this big time offensive lineman. Again, he's a top 25 prospect in the country. Georgia offered him almost 2 years ago. They've got a great relationship with him. I think LSU was the team to beat heading into this official visit, and they still might be the team out in front, but I do think that Georgia made big progress with this young man. Here's what he had to say after his Georgia official visit. He said, quote, "I was able to learn more in depth of the program and the plan that they have for their guys. Their pitch to me is why not come somewhere where the risk of making it to the NFL is minimized and at a lesser risk because of the constant proof and people they have sent into the pros. They are recruiting me to play tackle, and my relationship with Coach Searles has grown tremendously over the last 2 years." Now, this guy, again, a pancake machine. He is big, he is physical, and he's ranked as the #1 guard in the country, but he's saying, hey, Georgia wants me at tackle now. So, not the biggest, heaviest guy. He's just 6'3", 285, but he moves like a cat. He's got great footwork, a good initial punch. He's naturally strong, plays hard. I mean, this guy blocks until the whistle and consistently buries defenders into the ground over and over and over again. And he got his Georgia offer in June of 2023. So this guy's been on Georgia's board for a long time. Never really thought that Georgia was the team to beat or anything like that, but they got him on campus to kick off the summer for his official visit. They made a big impression, and I think they are going to be in the race throughout his recruitment and over the next several months. So this is another five-star elite offensive lineman that Georgia fans need to keep an eye on. A lot of people are saying that Georgia offensive line recruiting has fallen off under Stacy Searles. I'm not saying that he's Sam Pittman or Matt Luke, but let's be clear here. They did sign a five-star offensive lineman in the last cycle, in the 2025 class, just last year, right? Juan Gaston Jr. They've got a good one already in Graham Houston at guard. And yeah, they did not get Jackson Cantwell, but it wasn't because of Stacy Searles or Mike Bobo, okay? It had a lot to do with NIL and his relationship with the Miami staff. Stacy Searles was the guy who almost landed him and came in a close second, okay? The guy does know what he's doing. He's bringing in really good talent, and Darius Gray is an elite five-star offensive lineman to keep a close eye on. I think Georgia has moved up in his recruitment. So that's one guy to know. Another guy, Nick Abrams, four-star linebacker. I've talked about him a lot. You can read this update over on Dawg Post. This guy always has good things to say about Georgia. Now, I want to make it clear, five-star Tyler Atkinson out of Grayson High School, a guy that you all know about and have for years now. I've been covering the kid since he was in middle school. That's still the big prize, right? He is still the top guy. He's the top 10 player in the country, one of the best linebackers I've ever covered. But still, they're going to look to sign Tyler Atkinson and more. And Nick Abrams is the guy that they are very high on, as is Shadarius Tootle. I'm going to talk about him in a second. But Nick Abrams, 6'2", 220 pounds, out of Maryland. Again, always has great stuff to say about Georgia. Here's what he said after his official visit. Quote, "I think the visit added to everything I already knew. Georgia's a great university. They're elite in football, and they're elite in the classroom. Coach Schumann is great at putting guys in the league. It's crazy because he has 3 Butkus Award winners at the age of 35, which is insane. The atmosphere that Coach Smart is creating is something I can see myself being a part of." Their pitch was simple. You come to Georgia to get developed as a football player and as a man. You have the highest chance out of any school in the past 3 years to hear your name called on draft night. You will also get a degree from a top 20 university in the country. So Georgia's message is pretty clear. Hey, play linebacker at Georgia, you play for Glenn Schumann, you're going to hear your name called in the NFL sooner than later, pretty high up, right? That's the resume, right? We've seen it year after year after year. Glenn Schumann's basically coaching, future NFL linebackers all the time. And they said, hey, you come play at Georgia, win a lot of ball games, hear your name called early, and come back, get a degree, and from a top 20 university. So that's the message here. As a junior last fall, he made 77 tackles, 9 tackles for a loss, 4 sacks, and 1 interception, along with 1 block punt. He's ranked as the number 14 linebacker, number 209 overall in the 2026 class. He looks the part physically. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's a great kid, and Georgia is extremely high on his board. Georgia's in his top 4. We'll see if they're able to land him later this summer or maybe closer to signing day. Of course, he wasn't the only 4-star linebacker in town, and Dawg Post members knew all about this, right? If this is news, brand new to you, it's not for the Dawg Post members. I've been talking about a lot of these guys for a while, and Shadarius Tootle is an Auburn commitment that I've mentioned several times. He's from Cottage Hill High School in Alabama. A tackling machine, made over 150 tackles last year as a junior. He's lean. He's got a lengthy frame. He's athletic. And I think Georgia's got a real chance of flipping this young man. They brought in Jalen Walker, a Butkus Award winner last year, first-round pick, Atlanta Falcons. He came back to Athens to help recruit these two. And he took some pictures with Shadarius Tootle. And the 5-star name, for sure. But this kid can play. He gets after it. He is aggressive. He is a sure tackler. And I think Georgia definitely made an impact on him. Glenn Schumann was at his home last week for an in-home visit, right? These guys, when they travel, they're not doing it for fun, right? It was a business trip. They are not wasting their time, and they think that this guy is someone that they can flip and bring on board. So Shadarius Tootle, definitely a guy to keep an eye on. Nick Abrams, 2 outstanding linebackers that Georgia fans need to know about, along with, obviously, 5-star Tyler Atkinson, who had dinner with Coach Schumann last week as well. So Coach Schumann's all over the place. He's ready to bring in another elite linebacker class, and I think he's well on his way to doing that. He had 2 of his biggest targets in Athens for an official visit this past weekend. Of course, you can read more about that over on Dawg Post. Kamari Brooks is another guy who was in town. I believe this was an unofficial visit, 6'3", 220 at a nearby North Oconee High School. Guy just looks the part. He had a really big year last year. 131 tackles, 17 tackles for a loss, 13 sacks, 3 pass breakups, 1 interception, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 24 quarterback hurries, and 2 defensive touchdowns. He's got the size. He's got a great head on his shoulders. He's a smart, intelligent young man who knows what he's looking for. Here's what he had to say about his Georgia visit. He said, quote, "I just got to see how all the coaches interact outside of football and to see them have some fun." I spoke in another video about how this was a fun weekend. Georgia's all about business, right? They're all about the details. But this weekend, the scavenger hunt weekend, it's about having fun, building chemistry, and talking about that brotherhood that I mentioned in another video. He said, "Georgia's pitch is that they really believe in what I can become if I stick to the work, and they are making me feel like a very high priority. What makes Georgia special is them being the hometown team." And I think this is going to come down to Georgia and Alabama. Right now, I'd be a little surprised if he ended up at Alabama. I know they're doing a great job recruiting him. He is a big-time pass rusher. I get why a lot of teams are pushing for him, but it looks like this is coming down to Georgia and Alabama. I think Georgia has the edge, not only for a location standpoint, but they're recruiting him hard. And he's been at it several times. It's a pretty short trip. And I do think that he is a top priority and one of the best pass rushers in the state and one of the best pure pass rushers on Georgia's board. So I like Georgia right now over Alabama. We'll see if anything changes after his Alabama official visit at some point in the summer. Forget when that weekend is. But I like Georgia and where they sit right now. Another guy who was in town was Andrew Beard. He's a little younger. He's in that 2027 class. One of the best running backs in the state of Georgia. He was just a sophomore. He is the nephew of former Georgia running back Garrison Hurst. So the kid can play. He's got athletic genes. The kid can really run just like his uncle. He rushed for just under 2,000 yards last year, 21 touchdowns as a sophomore for Prince Avenue Christian. So right outside of Athens. This is a nearby kid who's been to Georgia basically his whole life. He plays right outside of Athens right now in Bogart, and has a Georgia offer and has for a while. They like him. Slightly undersized, if you want to call that, just 5'9", 190. I think that's probably why he's ranked a little lower than where I would probably rank him. production's a big deal to me when I make my rankings, but size is, can trump production for other people. He's the number 12 running back in the country for the 2027 class, number 138 overall. But if you look at the numbers, I know it's against private school competition, but dude was consistently one of the best players on the field at all times and still did it as a sophomore. Again, just under 2,000 yards, 21 touchdowns. He also caught 32 passes out of the backfield for 525 more yards, 5 more touchdowns, can play some defense. The kid is lights out, one of the best playmakers in the state and possibly across the South for the 2027 class, and you have to like where Georgia sits with him early on. So again, you can read all about this and more over on Dawg Post. There's a lot of updates coming, so make sure you're heading over to the website to read all about Georgia Bulldog recruiting, because it still matters. I know a lot of people don't want to cover it anymore because one 5-star decided to go somewhere else. That's crazy talk, okay? This is still really, really important stuff. And if you're a 5-star Georgia fan, you still keep up and follow recruiting. I mean, that's just how it is. And if you're a 5-star Georgia fan, you're also over on dawgpost.com. So thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. Keep heading to the website for all the latest news and updates over there. And I'll see you on Dawg Post.